Hi, I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, some frank talk at the White House to try to avoid the fiscal cliff. And San Diego gets soaked by a cold Pacific storm with flooding in some parts of town, and it's not over yet.
And we'll talk with Marine Sergeant Peralta's sister about her brother being denied a posthumous Medal of Honor. Then San Diego Hospice offers tips on how to deal with grief and loss this holiday season. I'm Peggy Pico with those stories just ahead.
And tonight we'll take you to one of San Diego's truly sweet spots. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. President Obama went face-to-face with House Speaker John Boehner tonight in what's being described as frank talk about breaking a budget deadlock in Washington. They're trying to steer the nation away from mandatory spending cuts and tax increases known as the fiscal cliff. So far, there's no word on whether any progress was made. The meeting came after a day of finger-pointing by both sides.
If the president will step up and show us he's willing to make the spending cuts that are needed, I think we can do some real good in the days ahead.
We know that Republicans want greater spending cuts, but we don't know how they would achieve them, what their proposals are. If the answer, which we haven't heard, but if the answer is, well, go look at the Ryan budget, we know that A, that lacks specificity too, always did, and B, that it contains the voucherization of Medicare, which is not happening. So that doesn't mean that there are not serious and credible ways to further reduce spending that this president would entertain and be able to come to an agreement on with Republicans.
Now, without an agreement across the board, federal spending cuts take effect next month, and Bush-era tax cuts for all Americans will expire. Economists say San Diego could take a multi-billion-dollar hit if it happens, and the nation's economic recovery could be in jeopardy. President Obama says he will not approve any deal without higher taxes on the wealthy. San Diego got some record-setting rainfall today, causing floods in several parts of town. Here's a look at Fashion Valley earlier. A roadway flooded and a parking garage shut down. Roads were also flooded in Point Loma and in the Midway district. The Weather Service says the rainfall record for this date was broken before 10 this morning at Lindbergh Field. The storm's also dropping snow in our mountain areas. This image from Mount Laguna was taken by a San Diego webcam today. The Weather Service says as much as 5 inches of snow could fall above the 5,000-foot level. A winter advisory is in effect for the mountains until 4 in the morning. Drivers are advised to bring chains. San Diego police are investigating a shooting tonight by a park ranger at Torrey Pines State Park, or State Preserve. It happened this afternoon. Police say a man came at the ranger with a knife and a machete at the south end of Torrey Pines Park Road. The man was taken to a hospital, but no word tonight on his condition. Former San Diego Congressman Randy Duke Cunningham has moved out of a federal prison into a halfway house in New Orleans. He'll spend about 6 months there, reconnecting with his family, looking for work, and taking part in programs designed to prepare inmates for release. Cunningham went to prison in 2006 for bribery, fraud, and tax evasion. Since going to prison, he's denied taking bribes from defense contractors in exchange for sending government work to them. Cunningham is scheduled to be released in June and says he will move to Arkansas with his family. Today, the Defense Department officially announced a decision we first reported to you last night. It will not award a Medal of Honor to a fallen San Diego Marine. In a moment, Peggy Pico talks with the sister of Sergeant Rafael Peralta about their fight to get his medal upgraded. But first, some background about the case from KPBS reporter Beth Ford Roth.
On November 15, 2004, Peralta entered a house Marines had been searching in Fallujah, Iraq. A bullet hit Peralta right behind the left ear, and soon after that, an insurgent threw a grenade into the same room where Peralta had been shot. Now that's where the stories diverge. The Marines who were present when Peralta was shot say he pulled the grenade under his body, therefore saving their lives by protecting them from the blast. But the medical examiner who autopsied Peralta testified that the bullet wound likely killed him, and therefore it would have been impossible for him to pull the grenade underneath his body. Peralta was awarded the Navy Cross posthumously, but local Congressman Duncan Hunter has been trying to get that award upgraded to the Medal of Honor. He submitted video and other materials trying to prove Peralta consciously moved the grenade underneath his body. But today in a letter, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta announced those materials did not meet the requirement for, quote, proof beyond a reasonable doubt to overturn the ruling of his predecessor, Secretary Robert Gates. Panetta says he will not reconsider awarding Peralta the Medal of Honor. Beth Ford Roth, KPBS News.
Joining me with the family's reaction to the Department of Defense rejection notice is Karen Peralta, Sergeant Peralta's younger sister. Karen, thank you so much for talking with us about this tonight. Your brother, Rafael, joined the Marines the day he got his green card. Tell us about him and why he wanted to join the Marines.
He wanted to join the Marines. Actually, it was at high school. You know how they talk about military and stuff, and he said, I want to do it. And my mom actually, they have like in the TV, they had like a little preview of the Marines, and my mom said, oh, I want you to be that, son. And he said, yeah. And he joined the Marines the day he got his green card.
And tell me about your family. I mean, so your family's from Mexico, and then he just decided he wanted to do this for America, for the type of person he is. What was sort of behind that?
Yes, my family is from Mexico, and I mean, I guess that's what he wanted to do. I guess that's what his calling was, and ever since he wanted to, he's been in love. He was in love with the Marines, with the military.
Why is it important for you, for your family, to have your brother receive this Medal of Honor, which is the highest medal given by Congress?
For justice, I believe, because it's not only my family, but other people as well that supports us, that believes he deserves the Medal of Honor.
So it's about him deserving it.
Exactly.
Okay. Your family got a call from Panetta's office about 2 weeks ago saying things were going clear on this. Then what happened?
Then they denied it, I believe. I barely found out yesterday about this, that he wasn't going to receive it. My sister called my mom, and I was in school actually, and my mom called me saying that there's going to be no Medal of Honor.
And you left school, right?
Yes.
Your family's upset about this.
Exactly.
There's been some rumor that, I want you to clarify for us, that he was awarded the Navy Cross back in 2008, which is the highest honor that you can get from the Navy. But there's been some rumors out there about how your family accepted that. So clarify for us.
People say that we've denied it. We haven't denied it. We just haven't had time as a family to pick it up. We haven't made that time.
So you're going to go as a family to
Exactly.
DC?
Yes, we just don't know exactly when, but we have not denied it.
I know you don't want to talk about specifics, but when it comes to this obviously it's been a roller coaster with this receiving the Medal of Honor. There's been all sorts of details looking at this particular case. What does that say to your family about it? Do you have ideas as to why this is not happening?
We actually don't know. There's a lot of contradiction going on. People say that, he received the Navy Cross because they're saying that he did do it, and then over here, the Medal of Honor, they're saying because he wasn't able to do it. It's a lot of mixture going on.
Absolutely, and just to clarify, there's the one story from the eyewitnesses from his platoon that basically said he pulled this grenade toward him and saved their lives. But the autopsy report, doctors are saying no, he wasn't able to because he had been shot ahead of time. Yeah, either way, he did protect his fellow troops. Now, the Navy is naming a destroyer after your brother. What else? How else would you like to see him remembered?
Well, obviously as a hero, a really fun, outgoing guy that gave everything for other people. He was very helpful to other people.
What has this taught you? You're 21, you're in school. What has this taught you? Does this make you want to be something or do something or choose a particular career?
It makes me want to do better. My brother's a role model for me, and I believe every other person, and it's made me strong, very strong, and it's just taught me to fight for what I want.
Something to live up to?
Exactly.
All right. Karen Peralta, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
The Navy's trying to find out why one of its helicopters made a hard landing at North Island last night. 4 crew members were sent to the hospital. They were taking part in routine training when the Seahawk chopper made the landing. The Navy's not releasing any information about their injuries. The Senate is considering a bill to let the Veterans Affairs Department cover fertility treatments for wounded veterans and their spouses. Right now, the VA doesn't offer such services. About 2,000 veterans from the Iraq and Afghan wars have suffered trauma to their reproductive systems. The bill would cover treatments such as in vitro fertilization. The estimated cost is close to $600 million to be covered by the savings from scaling back operations in the Middle East. Organizers of San Diego's Toys for Tots drive say they're running short on donations this year. They need toys for 25,000 more children, especially for girls from 3 to 9 years old, and they're trying to get them by December 19th. The Marine Corps Reserve Center runs the drive. It has drop-off centers at all county Walmart stores, Toys R Us, Babies R Us, A1 Self-Storage, and San Diego Self-Storage locations, as well as the Marine Corps Resource Center on Pomerado Road. Toys are also being collected at Sunday's Chargers game, and San Diego Rep will take toys at Sunday's performance of the Ultimate Christmas Show. Toys for Tots plans to serve 61,000 children in the county this year. Foster children and their families got an early holiday present from the county: free computers. Our Speak City Heights reporter Megan Burks has more on the giveaway.
Foster parents driving minivans lined up outside a City Heights loading dock Thursday despite the rain. They were there to pick up free computers for their kids. The computers are desktops once used by county employees. They've since been refurbished and loaded with software by the San Diego Futures Foundation. Arlith Ariola Rubio works for Child Welfare Services. She says the event is focusing on foster kids because many of them often need extra help with schoolwork.
Kids that have been abused and neglected, they're vulnerable, and a lot of the times they need a lot of help with school. And so having a computer, access to internet, all those things are going to help them out.
Ariola Rubio says the county will give out 150 computers through Friday.
AAA says a lot of people will be on the road this Christmas. In fact, it could be the busiest holiday traveling season in 6 years. More than 93 million Americans are expected to drive somewhere for the holidays. One reason, it's harder to fly. Airlines have trimmed flights, and more folks are getting packed into the remaining flights. If you're driving for the holidays, you may get some relief at the gas pump. The Auto Club expects the nationwide average to drop to around $3.40 a gallon. Right now, San Diegans are paying an average of $3.65 a gallon. It's the lowest price here since January 1st. Military passengers will have a USO lounge at Lindbergh Field for the next 20 years. Today, the Airport Authority approved a new lease for the USO Lounge. It serves about 120,000 military personnel and their families every year, from new recruits to troops leaving on deployment and coming home again. Google Maps are back on the iPhone nearly 3 months after getting replaced by Apple Maps. Users gave bad reviews to Apple Maps, saying it got them lost. Google started from scratch to create a new app for the iPhone, including turn-by-turn directions. The new maps are already a hit on Apple's App Store, but the company's stock took a hit today, dropping more than $9 a share, while Google stock went up about $5. Here's a look at some San Diego stocks. A judge has ordered Walgreens to pay more than $16 million to settle a lawsuit. It claims more than 600 stores in California, including 36 in San Diego, illegally dumped hazardous waste in trash bins. The stores were accused of improperly disposing of pesticides, bleach, paint, and pharmaceutical waste. Walgreens agreed to settle the case, but refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. About 110,000 people left California for other states this year, mostly to Texas and Arizona, but the state finance department says our population still grew by 256,000 people. Most of the growth came from births. California's population, by the way, is now close to 38 million people. A federal appeals court says California can cut payments to Medi-Cal providers by 10%. State lawmakers made the cuts last year to save money. Healthcare providers sued to try to stop them. The California Medical Association says the cuts will hurt access to health care for millions. San Diego hospice counselors are offering tips on how to deal with loss and grief this holiday season. Peggy Pico finds out what you can do to help.
San Diego Hospice founded the Center for Grief Care and Education in 1997. And as my guest, Dr. Lori Montross, director of the center, is here to explain, they do a lot more than care for the terminally ill, including helping families cope with grief and loss, even over the holidays. Yeah, no, Lori, when most of us hear hospice, we think of terminally ill and sort of end-of-life care. But this center does a lot more than that. Tell us about your other services.
Absolutely. So we're a community-based organization, and so we're designed to serve the community at large, even if patients have not been on our hospice service. In that capacity, we offer individual counseling, support groups, group therapy, family therapy, really to anyone who's experiencing a grief or loss that they'd like some assistance.
And I know you custom do these. Basically, you'll have, if a parent's lost a child or a child's lost a parent. Is there a fee for this type of service, and does insurance pay any of it?
So some are free to the community, some are a sliding fee scale, and for some individuals their insurance may cover that as well.
Understandably, holidays can be difficult. It's a family time if you've lost someone. You have a story of someone that you helped that kind of turned the sorrow around, a surfer, a mother of a surfer, I believe. Tell us about that.
Yes, so I worked with an individual who had lost her husband, and her husband was an avid surfer, and he had a particular part of a beach here in San Diego that he loved to surf at. So she decided after the loss that she was going to donate a park bench on that stretch of the beach and had it engraved with his name. And so now her new holiday tradition is to go and sit on that bench Christmas morning and look out into the ocean and think of him, and do that in honor of him as a way to create now a connection with him in a different way for the holidays.
And that is one of your suggestions, I understand, is that people might feel like I'm dishonoring somebody if I start a new holiday tradition. But tell us some tips of what you could do like that, going to a specific spot. What else can families do to sort of honor but create a new tradition for someone they've lost?
Absolutely, because oftentimes it can feel as though it might be disrespectful to change a tradition, but now there is a way that you could honor your loved one, and particularly if you can find experiences in the community that would mean a lot to them. So for instance, if you had a loved one that was very committed to a certain charity, now you might make a donation to that charity in their name. So it honors their name and their commitment to that. You might establish at a holiday table a candle for that loved one so that you can honor them and respect their place still at that table in some respects. There are many other ways. I've had individuals who've put together CDs that were a compilation of the loved one's favorite music, and that might be something that's played at the holiday because that was
a great idea.
Yeah,
I'll have to pick that one up. Now, grief can sometimes have some mental and physical symptoms. What are sort of the symptoms you might see of grief? I'm thinking depression, things like that.
Increased depression, increased anxiety, some withdrawal from the rest of their friends or loved ones, and that's really one thing to keep in mind if you're trying to assess whether your friends or loved ones have grief that might need to be addressed with additional services, is to think, are they either withdrawing from activities that they very much enjoyed in the past, and so it seems different for them. They used to be a jogger and they jogged every day or multiple times a week, and now they aren't jogging at all, but you know that they loved that. Or if it's impacting their work or other social relationships, that's really a clue that they might need some additional assistance.
Where it's moved beyond maybe some typical grief symptoms and feeling down and blue.
Right.
What is the best way for someone to help, let's say, especially over the holidays when there is an increase in depression, there is an increase in anxiety for a lot of families, even without loss? As a friend, what should you do to help get somebody the right help?
My first suggestion is to have the conversation. It can be difficult to broach that because we feel as though we may not need or want to say anything and make them feel awkward. But my suggestion would be to approach that friend or loved one and let them know, I'm thinking about you, particularly during the holidays, and I realize this may be the first holiday without your husband, Bill, and I would love to be able to help. And offer even some specific suggestions for how you could help. So you might say, you know, I'm a particularly good shopper. Could I go to the mall for you and pick up some of those gifts? Or I'm a great cook. I can make some of the items that you might normally need and help in specific ways.
All right. We are out of time. Dr. Lori Montross, thank you so much for talking with us. I want to let people know that they can contact San Diego Hospice 24 hours a day on their hotline, toll-free 866-688-1600. That's the number on your screen, 866-688-1600. Or you can go to find a link on our website, kpbs.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, what's ahead for U.S. relations with Afghanistan and Pakistan? We asked departing Special Envoy Mark Grossman. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
San Diego Chargers will not be seen on local TV for the fourth time this season. The team fell 11,000 tickets short for Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers. Chargers have only one more home game after this weekend, playing the Oakland Raiders on December 30th. That game is nearly sold out. We can expect a soggy end to the week. More rain is on the way, and coastal areas are expected to get it through the weekend. Inland areas may start to dry out a bit by Sunday. A winter weather advisory remains in effect for our mountains until early tomorrow morning, and the desert should start seeing a little sun by tomorrow. It's a tasty stop between the Imperial Valley and San Diego, not far from Interstate 8 in the small community of Boulevard. Tonight, Ken Kramer takes us to the Wisteria Candy Cottage, one of the most historic businesses in our back country, and something truly sweet about San Diego.
Along Old Highway 80, 60 miles east of San Diego, is the sweetest thing.
Can I get a handful of the licorice?
Sure.
Yeah, black and red, please.
A sweet stop for generations of travelers between San Diego and the Imperial Valley who want to take a little candy break.
I have people pulling in they were just driving by just to show their friends or family members that, hey, this is the Candy Cottage. We used to come here when we were really little.
Dana Ecabellis owns Wisteria Candy Cottage in the small town of Boulevard, a little house built a century ago where candy has been made and sold since 1921.
People come in and tell me stories about my mom and about my grandmother. And just the other day, a fella came in and he started coming here in 1941.
They're both gone now, but so many San Diegans remember her mom and dad, Gordon and Lucilia Rankin, working every day here.
I love the smell. Chocolate's a part of my life.
Creating all kinds of treats, the air around this little shop perfumed with the sweet smell of chocolate confections.
People now look upon us as a tradition. We're not just a candy cottage in the mountains. We are a tradition.
Now their daughter Dana carries on that tradition, and to tell the truth, it's a lot of work. All these candies, they're all made here from scratch. Sometimes she drives down to San Diego for supplies. Just the other day in the checkout line, she got the question again, why are you buying all of this sugar?
And I said, well, I have a small candy chocolate factory in the mountains. And then they say, where? And then the lady behind me will say, that's not Wisteria, is it?
It most certainly is Wisteria, where today Dana and her son Joe made 3 batches of chocolate in the back kitchen, and now they're at work finishing up brittle, which will go right out on sale. Her favorite, a few trays of which have just come out fresh, are turtles, chocolate and nut. Customers snap them up.
And we probably make about 60 pounds of turtles a week, so it's a lot.
It's a busy place, Wisteria, out here so far away from everything. An odd combination of quaint and down to earth, up early in the morning over the kettle, hard work, making, shipping all over the world, and selling candy.
This is our seafoam.
And by the way, in case you're wondering, even though she makes it, works with it, sells it every day, yes, she does still very much like candy.
We eat candy every day, and we have to taste test it, make sure it tastes good.
I'm guessing there are worse jobs. Everybody who comes in is happy to see you. There are challenges, keeping the place cool on hot summer days, keeping up with orders from all around the country for wisteria chocolate. There's all that. But keeping up their spirits seems to come naturally. She does work in a candy shop, after all, carrying on a family tradition. Dana thinks about that, too, every day she works here, about her mom and dad, the joy they found at this little place in the mountains, and about how much and for how long this little candy shop in Boulevard has been loved by those who come here.
It's more a part of you. It's a part of these people.
On Old Highway 80 in Boulevard, for more than 90 years, something very sweet about San Diego.
And we have some late-breaking news tonight. The Los Angeles City Council is getting involved in the debate over whether reactors should be restarted at the San Onofre nuclear plant in the North County. Tomorrow, it will take up a resolution calling on plant operator Southern California Edison to apply for a formal license amendment and to hold a public hearing. The plant's been shut down, of course, since January because of a leak in one of its steam generators. Edison says LA's resolution is driven by an environmental group trying to shut the plant down for good. More on this story and all of tonight's news on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks so much for joining us. You have a great night.